wonderful conference this has been so far. It's fantastic. Welcome. And thank you for joining us. Tonight we are going to be doing our awards ceremony and a 40th anniversary ceremony, and then we're going to invite you to join us for a cocktail reception next door. So tonight we're recognizing the incredible work of the WTS International and WTS Foundation. You will be tremendously impressed by this year's scholarship recipients and recognition award winners. We will celebrate our 40th anniversary later in the program. We look back at the amazing journey of the pioneering founding members and celebrate our accomplishments over the decades and look forward to our vision for the future. But we cannot begin this evening's festivities without first starting with HNTB. HNTB has been sponsoring this event at our conferences for the last 7 years. Let's learn a bit about HNTB.
Being a trailblazer is an awesome responsibility. HNTB is honored to support WTS International in its work to build the future of transportation through the global advancement of women. With more than a century of service, HNTB understands the life cycle of infrastructure and addresses clients' complex technical, financial, and operational challenges in all it does. We also understand that our employee owners are HNTB's most valuable resource. They are our future. Women are involved at every level of HNTB's project delivery structure, including many WTS local, regional, and national leaders. WTS International Board Member and HNTB National Director of Total Client Development, Lisa Thompson, talks about the value WTS brings to the company.
I want to thank WTS for its commitment to the advancement of women in transportation, its ability to offer us educational opportunities and to network with our colleagues from coast to coast. Last, I want to thank HNTB for its commitment to WTS as a trailblazer sponsor, to the women in our company who are members of this organization, and its commitment to diversity.
Mentoring young women entering the transportation field is a major focus of HNTB's employee development program. Developing future women leaders in HNTB's over 60 offices happens in schools like the Los Angeles Unified School District. At the heart of it is supporting and developing the next generation of transportation professionals that will deliver a full range of infrastructure-related services. Attracting, retaining, and advancing women in the transportation industry is what both WTS and HNTB do every day. With a culture of integrity, technical excellence, and client satisfaction, the ideals and values that have guided HNTB for its first 100 years still hold true today. Our second century of infrastructure service looks bright as we blaze the trail forward for women in the transportation industry. HNTB is proud to join WTS as a sponsor, but more importantly, as a partner in supporting and developing women in transportation, now and into the future.
And now it's my pleasure to bring Lisa Thompson, National Director of Toll Client Development for HNTB and WTS International Director. Lisa?
Well, first, the glasses, because Grandma can't read without them. Second of all, guys, are we rocking New York or what? Let's all say hooray! Go WTS! I am so proud to be here tonight and represent my firm and WTS. I want to say first that I have had the great joy of the last year serving underneath Gwen Jones and her incredible leadership and serving with a remarkable group of women on the WTS International Board. I also want to thank everyone in this audience who is a member and leadership of a chapter. Your commitment is changing the lives of women in this industry across the world. After all, we're an international organization. You know, there are 6,700 members of this organization. Isn't that amazing? 72 chapters. Ooh, I forgot how loud I can talk. 72 chapters, students and professional. At this conference, there are over 670 women represented here. And I am very proud to say there are over 40 H&TB people. Whoa! I want to thank our Executive Vice President and Corporate President, Tom O'Grady, for being here to support us tonight. I want to thank my office leaders and division presidents, from Mike Sweeney to Stephen Diltz, Carrie, Roca, Jeff Parker, saw him come in. I want to thank also Diana Mendez, Katie Neese, and all our executive leadership in this firm. If you would, if you're an H&TB employee, please stand up right now. I want to say thank you. Thank you, guys. Woo, go. Our firm is honored to be a part of this organization. It is a passion of mine to advance women in all aspects of life. And I am honored to work for a firm that backs up my commitment and my belief. You know, when you work for a company, it's like being married or like a friendship. It is. I mean, you're spending a lot of time with those folks. And oh, by the way, the voice is raspy due to allergies, and if you don't understand the Southern accent, Mike Sweeney will interpret for me. But I am proud to be part of this organization and what it is doing, and the glass ceiling, not ceiling, but ceilings it is breaking across this country. Again, thank you so much tonight for the honor to be a part of this. And guys, keep on rocking New York.
Well, thank you, Lisa, and thank you, H&TB. So now it is my absolute pleasure to bring our MC for this evening to the podium. Please join me in welcoming to the podium the longtime member of WTS, president of Liz Levin and Company, and former Mass DOT and MBTA board member, Liz Levin.
You can see me, right? Good. Good evening, and thank you, WTS. It's a real honor to be here tonight to MC this program in New York City. It's particularly meaningful because I was the WTS president from 1998 to 2000, and the 2000 conference was here in New York City and was also a spectacular conference. Also, there was, at the same time, my son graduated from Columbia College in New York City. So I used my talents, my WTS talents, which were to juggle everything at once. And that day we did, and it is memorable. And I have stories if you want. So what I want to do is really let you know we have an important mission today. We are both going to honor wonderful awardees, and we are here as well to really raise money for the WTS Foundation. The WTS Foundation is the fundraising arm of WTS. It raises tax-deductible money that can help fund our scholarships and educate our people. It does research as well in all these issues. So it's really about advancing women. And it is because of contributions that you make that we can do our work so well, and the work is so important. So what we want to do today is really raise some money, celebrate our awardees. And for the fundraising part, we want to raise at least $25,000, although by the size of the crowd, I'm sure we can hopefully do more. And it is going to go to an important cause, and your participation at whatever amount you're comfortable with would be appreciated. So here's how we're going to do the fundraising. And I think you have programs that have the number on it, but I'm going to tell you this now. If I were sitting in, okay. All right, well, we're starting to, you can see we're already fundraising. Okay. But here's what you do, okay? And it's in your program what you do. Oh yeah, that's our book. When you buy the book, we give money to WTS. So you should know that, and it's been important. Okay, here's what you do to contribute, okay? You text to 41444 with this message. WTS space, the amount you're going to donate without a $, a space, and then your name, okay? And you can include a brief message if you choose, even do a shout out to your chapter or to someone important to you, and you'll complete your donation, and they'll send you back a confirmation. So you can do that. The instructions, I hope, are right there for you, because I once tried to do it, and it was really hard. So I'm giving you a heads up, but that way is easy. So thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Dory. And we'll get going. So what do they do with the money? One of the most important activities WTS is doing is the Transportation U program. The program, created as a partnership with the US DOT, is a hands-on, interactive mentoring program that offers young girls aged 13 to 18 an introduction to a wide variety of transportation careers. Through the program, more than 40 WTS chapters have been working to make a difference in the lives of these young girls by offering programs and activities that spark their interest in transportation and encourage them to take courses in math, science, and technology. Don't you wish we had that when we were young as well? So, if you've participated in the program, just raise your hand. Yeah, you're running a chapters. Okay. Well, that's great. We're going to expand that even more. So what we want is tonight, it's an opportunity to give to the foundation and really help make that program and other programs happen. So let's take a close look at the Greater New York Chapter's Transportation U program. I'd like to call Charisse Myers, the program manager for the MTA New York City Transit, to the stage so she can share the success of the program and show you what they are doing.
Good evening. First, you look wonderful from this view. I love it. And these are the ladies from City Polytechnic High School. We have a short story to share with you.
Courage!
To open doors for the next generation so that they can be in the transportation business.
Ingenuity!
To envision a future that is inclusive of women in non-traditional work.
Innovation!
To create so that in the disciplines that we work in and study in, like engineering, like architecture, like construction, where we have businesses, that they grow. So that we get the capital programs, and can I say, the money, to assure that these projects are successful.
Change.
To be the leaders, not a leader, the leaders. And so with that said, if you are here and you are from the organization that we are now practicing and having a STEM program in that we love and call MTA, please stand up. So the ladies that you just saw stand up, like Mara Brown, who has had up to 4 different interns working in her area and doing real projects. Especially, I need to thank my vice president, who did not stand up, but there she is, Patricia Lodge. Because this program just wouldn't exist without HR going out and really soliciting real projects that these women, these young women, work on in our organization. So with that said, I think that we have a much nicer way to introduce this program to you, and I'm going to ask them to please roll the video.
So why would you motivate girls our age to get into this transportation program?
Really to see what opportunities are out there. The purpose of this program is to make sure that you have every chance that you can get to succeed, and that's the point of the program.
Just look for times to work in any workplace. Internship opportunities, be they be in transportation or city government.
Find an area that really makes you feel like you're alive. Pursue that. Ask a lot of questions. Read a lot of books. Talk to your teachers, other professionals.
I joined this program because it seemed like a good opportunity for myself to see what other women get to do, since in the field of civil engineering or architecture, it's a male-dominated field. So seeing other women encouraged me to do what I wanted to do and love.
Well, what really motivated me, I didn't really have that much, so basically I was going off of the NYU, just thinking about transportation field, so I didn't know much, so me just going out to know something about it is just the most motivating thing I did.
WTS International initially wanted to start this program. They were creating an alliance with the US DOT. They gave us an opportunity to develop our first program, STEM program, with high school, middle school girls. We brought in 20 girls who we introduced to transportation. Many of them did not even think of careers in transportation, but just over the course of 2 days, we got to see them light up and get excited about all these new opportunities that might be open to them.
We chose City Poly because these were girls who were engaged to start. It's a high school that promotes engineering and architecture careers.
So we decided to do a group mentoring program, and we wanted to get them very excited about transportation. So we thought the most interesting thing for high school girls would be to go out and see the facilities, see the operations.
The success of the program and really just the energy that it builds and the opportunity that it provides these young girls really going to stick with them forever, and I think really makes a difference in these young women's lives.
So leveraging our success in New York at the Brooklyn Polytechnic High School, we engaged Technical Art School in Newark, New Jersey, and we were able to show them how any potential interest in any discipline could be transferred and related to transportation. And we're excited about it. I'm sure it's going to be a great success going forward.
So we created a structure, and then now we are about to embark upon our 3rd year of summer internships, and it is doing the same thing, just continuing to grow. and really making their mark. These girls do real work and are major contributors to our organizations.
We want you to consider MTA. We want you to consider transit. We want you to stay engaged with us because there are tremendous opportunities here.
City Poly Girls Rock. We are transportation. We are the future.
So we don't do this alone. My partner in good is over there, Debbie Hyman. I'm sure many of you know Debbie Hyman. The two Transportation U chairs are there. I'm not sure where the Transportation U chair for New Jersey is. Please just give them a wave. So in case you're doubting that we're doing the work, please take your phones out and text. If it's $1, here's what it goes towards: these young women and our future.
Definitely hard to follow that. The pinnacle of the WTS Transportation U program is really the DC Youth Summit, where people get together, mentors and mentees, in Washington, D.C., and they get exposed to really all the extraordinary opportunities Transportation U brings to them. So if you've participated in that D.C. program, just raise your hand. Okay, all right, because that is really a highlight for it. As we prepare for the next class heading to Washington for the 2017 summit, we're thrilled to announce the generosity of Lee and Elliott and Atkins for their support of the DC Summit this year. That money is really critical to be able to take the students there and to have them experience all the opportunities in Washington, and it leaves them just changed, is what people who've been there have said. So at this time, I want you to look at where our thermometer is. It looks like it's doing really well. All right, our thermometer is doing, thank you, David, Rachel, Bev, Matt, Brianna. Okay. We are delighted with it. And to inspire you, I want you to just think of contributing in honor of our 40th anniversary. How often does it happen that we can do this and you're here? So that's a reason to give. Also, think about giving in honor of the New York chapter and the work they did for this event. They put their heart and their soul in it. And so consider that and what they do with their Transportation U program. Okay. With this, I'm going to start the next section, which is the scholarship program, the recipients of the awards. The next portion is that scholarship program, and we have now Nuria Fernandez. She's currently the CEO of the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority. As many of you know, she is a former COO of the State of New York Metropolitan Authority. She also is a longtime member of WTS, and she served on the board of WTS. I had the privilege to have her on the board when I was president, and she's done just many wonderful things. She is going to MC this portion of the program, and it's my pleasure to call her up.
Good evening. We are WTS. We take risk, we soar like the eagle, and we get up before and dance before the music is over. So we're going to do a fun thing, which we always look forward to at our annual meetings, and that is to recognize these very talented individuals that have been chosen for scholarships. So through your support and the thousands of WTS members and other supporters, our WTS Foundation has awarded over $2 million in scholarships to deserving women throughout the industry, supporting the next generation of transportation professionals and advancing the principles of our great organization. We begin this year's awards with the WTS Leadership Legacy Scholarship for graduates. This $5,000 scholarship is awarded to an eligible candidate who is pursuing a graduate degree in transportation or related field and has demonstrated exceptional leadership skills. The 2017 Leadership Legacy Scholarship is awarded to Samane Kazrayan from the WTS South Florida chapter. She's first. Please join us on the podium. I forgot to tell her to come up here. Congratulations. Congratulations, Samane. Stay right here. The next scholarship was established in 1981 in honor and memory of Helene M. Overly, the first executive director of WTS. And it's awarded to a woman pursuing a graduate degree in transportation-related field and to encourage her to seek a career in transportation. This 10,000 Helene M. Overly Memorial Graduate Scholarship is being presented to Caroline LeFloc from the WTS Orange County chapter. Congratulations, Caroline, standing in the middle. And you all need to move over a little so I'm not in the photo. Best wishes, Caroline. The Molotores Leadership Scholarship for undergraduates is a $5,000 award established by the Honorable Jolene M. Molotores, the first female and longest-serving FRA administrator, and it was done in honor of her mom, Louise. For medical reasons, Jolene was not able to join us at this conference, but she created this scholarship to motivate and reward a woman who has distinguished herself by demonstrating leadership in the transportation industry. Let's bring our hands together as we celebrate this year's recipient, Gwen Jones from the WTS Portland chapter. Congratulations, Gwen, and keep soaring. The Sharon D. Banks Memorial Undergraduate Scholarship was created in memory of Sharon Banks, a luminary in public transit and past Chief Executive Officer of the Alameda Contra Costa Transit Authority, also known as AC Transit in California. This $5,000 award is presented to a woman pursuing undergraduate studies in transportation or related field. This year's recipient is Marissa Davini from the WTS Sacramento chapter. Congratulations, Marissa. Congratulations, Marissa. The next award is the WTS Junior College Scholarship. It's intended for students pursuing an associate or technical degree in transportation-related studies. It is now my pleasure to invite to the stage this year's recipient of the WTS Junior College Scholarship, Sasha Timchek, from the WTS Inland Empire chapter in California. Congrats, Sasha. The final of our scholarship awards is the Transportation U High School Scholarship. It's awarded to a girl pursuing high school studies in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math. Please join me in celebrating this year's recipient, Shruti Srinivasan, Philadelphia, WTS Philadelphia chapter. Okay, I've got these bright lights in my face. I can't see if she's making her way up here. Oh, Shruti's not here. Okay, so let's give her another round of applause. And we will make sure she gets her certificate and her scholarship award. So now, Liz, how are we doing with the rising temperature of our fundraising thermometer? Let's look. Oh, we're almost there. It's all about the glass ceiling. Okay. You know, that's not indicative of our climbing the ladder, okay? We don't change the ceiling. Okay, but let's do it. We can make it happen. Let's just do it. Another great thing about WTS is that we recognize each year outstanding individuals, projects, and employers who embody the WTS pursuit of transportation excellence through the achievement and success of women. This year is no exception, given the high caliber of all of the nominations provided by the WTS chapters from across the US, Canada, and the UK. So let's begin with the Innovative Transportation Solutions Award, which is accorded to a project led by women that makes a difference in the quality of life in the community and the users. And this year's winner is Baltimore Bike Share. Accepting the award is Veronica Macbeth, the Transit Bureau Chief for Baltimore City Department of Transportation, and Caitlin Doolin, former bicycle and pedestrian planner for Baltimore City DOT.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for this opportunity. My name is Veronica Macbeth. I am the Transit Bureau Chief for Baltimore City Department of Transportation. Thanks, guys. Very excited to be here and to share in this award with my friend and colleague, Caitlin Doolin, who served as the bike and pedestrian planner for Baltimore City and is now currently Kittleson and Associates' new lead in Charlotte, North Carolina. I want to thank my sister and my family for allowing me to lend a lot of my time to allowing us to launch Baltimore Bike Share. One of the things I wanted to note is that many thriving cities include the implementation of a robust and successful bike share system. On October 28th, 2016, we took that leap and we launched the largest electric pedal assist bike share fleet in the Western Hemisphere. Implementing a top quality bike share system has been an immense boost to the city's transportation network, economic development, and further advances Baltimore's position as a choice city. At this time, we're one of the only 2 cities that even offer a cash option payment, which helps with Baltimore's large unbanked population. Additionally, 50% of our bike share fleet is called electric pedal assist, and these bikes have an electric motor that assists in moving bikes as you pedal. This reduces the effort to climb hills and lowers the barriers to biking for those who may be less mobile. The combination of innovative technology along with broad availability, we resulted in over 1,000 miles ridden and more than 980 rides in the first 4 days. And thank you. And to date, I checked right before we came up here, we have ridden 33,000 miles and over 22,000 trips in just a short 8 months of operating. One other notable thing I'd like to say, and then I'm going to let Caitlin finish off, is that we've partnered with Baltimore Station, which is a development tool that is a workforce development tool to help homeless veterans recovering from addiction to get jobs in the city. And with them, as an operating nonprofit, we hope to bring 80 new jobs to Baltimore City once Baltimore Bike Share reaches its full maturity. Caitlin.
And all those great statistics, women were nearly involved in every single facet of this project, in all leadership roles. We have to give a huge thank you to our partners at Bewegan and Core Logistics who run and operate the program. And then also a huge thank you goes to a lot of women who ran this program. It was under a female mayor, Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake, former Mayor Stephanie Rawlings-Blake, Executive Director of Bike More, Liz Cornish, our current mayor, Mayor Catherine Pugh, who is now expanding the system from 20 to 50 stations in the next month. And then also finally, Veronica and I would really like to give a really heartfelt, botastic thank you to the WTS Baltimore chapter for this nomination. And a very, of course, thank the WTS International chapter for recognizing this award. We're very humble and grateful to receive it. Thank you.
Congratulations to the City of Baltimore for its innovative transportation solutions. The WTS Employer of the Year Award is given to an organization with an exemplary record of hiring, promoting, and retaining women and minorities, and providing professional development programs to enable gender diversity throughout its organization. The 2017 WTS Employee of the Year Award goes to Los Angeles World Airports. Accepting the award is Rosa Bryce, Chair of the WTS LA Chapter's Diversity and Recognitions Committee.
Good evening, WTS International. It's truly an honor to be here before you to accept this award for Employer of the Year on behalf of Los Angeles World Airport's Chief Executive Officer, Deborah Flint, and the challenging employees of Los Angeles World Airports and Van Nuys General Aviation Airport. We have a short video that we want to show you that showcases the dynamic and outstanding women who provide excellent leadership to our organization.
On behalf of all the dedicated and passionate employees at Los Angeles World Airports, we want to thank WTS International for recognizing LAWA as their International Employer of the Year. As a department of the City of Los Angeles, LAWA is the owner and operator of Los Angeles International Airport, the world's 4th largest airport and with nearly 81 million annual passengers, and Van Nuys General Aviation Airport with over 200,000 flight operations annually. LAWA takes pride in the fact that women serve in over 50% of leadership positions and fulfills hundreds of positions throughout the organization. Our exceptional leaders are transforming LAX into a modern and stylish facility that fulfills our operational and security objectives. Deputy Executive Directors Cynthia Guidry of Planning and Development Group and WTS Director-at-Large for Los Angeles Chapter is responsible for our $14 billion capital improvement program. Helen Wright, our Director of Terminal Planning, is responsible for over $5 billion worth of terminal improvements. As our facilities are developed, Deputy Executive Director Debbie Bowers manages our commercial development group and motivates her team to deliver multimedia advertising programs, tenant leasing, and world-class concessions. Our security program is entrusted to LAX Airport Police Division's Assistant Chief of Police, Ethel McGuire, who oversees our Homeland Security and Intelligence Division. We realize that our employees are the key to our success, and Paula Adams, Director of Airports Administration, ensures that our workforce is diverse, professional, and motivated to be stewards of our valuable assets. Our Deputy Executive Director for Project Development and Environmental Programs, Samantha Bricker, a member of WTS, is responsible for the draft environmental impact study that will make way for LAX Landside Access Modernization Program, our $5.5 billion capital improvement project that will provide guests a modernized way to access LAX for the 21st century. Our Chief Experience Officer, Barbara Yamamoto, leads the effort to deliver LA exceptional guest experience to 50,000 airport community members that serve as ambassadors to our nearly 81 million passengers. Through her tireless leadership, she has steadily transformed LAX guest experience with a lovable Plus program. Chief Information Officer or more provides the secure technological infrastructure for our tenants and guests to communicate with each other and around the world. Her efforts have brought the new TSA automated screening lanes to LAX, expediting passengers through the TSA screening process. We are proud of each of these women as their leadership drives LAWA to be gold standard airports delivered.
Thank you, WTS.
Again, thank you all for this wonderful honor, and we hope to see you come through LAX soon.
Congratulations, LAWA. The next award is the Rosa Parks Diversity Leadership Award and is given to an individual or an organization displaying extraordinary efforts in facilitating opportunities for women and minorities. And it is my pleasure to announce that this year's award goes to Catalina Alvarado, Senior Public Information Officer for the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, MTC, in the Bay Area.
Thank you. Well, I'm very honored to be recognized tonight, especially in a room full of amazing women. And one of the themes we heard throughout this morning's sessions, well, throughout the day actually, was the importance of team. And I've had the privilege of having an amazing group of colleagues that I've been able to work with in my career at the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, and also a very supportive agency. One program that I'm most proud of having worked on is MTC's high school internship program. The program's idea came from one of our citizen advisory committees, and I was staff to that committee, the Minority Citizens Advisory Committee. And they wanted to start this high school internship program, and after having been told no for a couple of times, they wanted a face-to-face with our executive director. And within 15, 20 minutes of that meeting, the executive director had said yes. And of course, as staff to the committee, I got to implement the program. But it's a really exciting high school internship program that we do with our partner agencies. And I was very honored to implement it and oversee it for its first 4 or 5 years. And it's still continuing now, 15 plus years, but it's moved over to Human Resources Department more appropriately than the Public Information Office that I was in. But once again, thank you very much.
Congratulations, Catalina. Our next award is the WTS Honorable Ray Lahood Award. It was created to recognize the men that have been key to WTS International's efforts to attract, retain, and advance women in transportation. WTS has long called for men in leadership positions to take an active role in bringing more women into the industry and helping them achieve the highest levels of leadership in their organizations. All WTS chapters have recognized outstanding men for their successful efforts over the past year, and the 2017 WTS Honorable Ray LaHood Award goes to Philip Schaffner, Policy Planning Director for the Minnesota Department of Transportation. Congratulations, Philip. We're so happy to have you here.
Wow. First of all, thank you, WTS, and thank you to the selection committee. I'd like to thank Morgan Abbott, Rose Ryan, and Adele Hall, and all of the leadership of the Minnesota chapter for submitting this my nomination up to the national or to the international organization. And I want to especially thank Katie Caskey, Siri Simons, Kathleen Mayel, and Ashley Verberg-Sukup for nominating me for the Minnesota Chapter Award. I'm deeply honored and humbled by this recognition. I think it's always significant to be recognized for your work, but even more so for one of your core values, which I've tried to live by and tried to encourage, and I've had really the deep honor of working with some pretty amazing women at the Minnesota Department of Transportation, and to be able to hire some of them and promote them. One of my early mentors when I was in my early 20s was a woman named Irma Wyman. She was one of the first women to graduate from the University of Michigan with an engineering degree. Went on to become the first vice president, first woman to be a vice president at Honeywell. And when I knew her, she was the archdeacon of the Episcopal Church in Minnesota. And one of the things that she would say is, if you want the right answer, ask the right question. And at the Minnesota Department of Transportation, we've been trying to ask different questions. I'm not sure if we've landed on the right question yet. And I don't know what the right question is for 2017 in our work to advance women in the industry, people of color in the industry. But we're asking questions and trying new things. And since being announced that I would get this award, I've told people about this, and they've said, wow, what did you do? And I said, well, I have led projects that have involved pretty amazing women, teams filled with women. I've been able to hire and promote women, but I don't think that's why I was originally nominated. I think it was more a recognition of little things. As Ariana Hovington mentioned earlier today, that little things matter. That how we engage in a meeting matters. If we can accentuate and honor the voices of everyone in the meeting, if we can extend a posting a little bit longer to get a more diverse candidate pool, if we can make sure that our promotional materials include the full diversity of our communities, those are the little things that we can do. And as I think about the challenges that we face in our industry, which still remains largely male-dominated, you know, our chief engineer at the Minnesota Department of Transportation, her name is Sue Mulvihill, and she likes to re-quote the saying, culture eats policy for breakfast. Sometimes strategy for breakfast, depending on the day. And as a policy guy, I think, wow, that's kind of harsh. But at the same time, I think the work in front of us, as Ariana Huffington mentioned this morning, is to recreate work. And we do that and we reshape culture, which is slow to change, but it's changed by us and the thousands of decisions that we make every single day. And that means that all of us can help shape it. and all of us have a role in shaping and adjusting and changing our culture over time. And so I think the challenge in front of us is one to shift our cultures, and we all have the opportunity to do that, and I'm honored to have played some small part in that, and I view this as a challenge to do more for myself, and I'm very deeply honored by this. Thank you.
That was quite awesome. Okay, that was great. Thank you so much, Philip, and congratulations. Thanks for all you're doing, and just keep doing more. So, the WTS Member of the Year Award goes to a member who has shown extraordinary commitment to the growth and goals of WTS. And it is my pleasure to announce that this year's Member of the Year is Faye Simmer, Pedestrian Safety Coordinator for the City of St. Paul, Minnesota.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's really a true honor to receive this award, and I've been on a high ever since I got the news that I won from the local chapter. It's especially an honor to have been recognized by my peers in the Minnesota chapter, a group of women who have been a source of motivation, inspiration, and friendship for me throughout my time in WTS. And as I accept this award from our international organization, I'd like to say that I don't see this just as a recognition of my own accomplishments, but as those of my chapters as well. If I set the bar high for WTS Minnesota during my time as chapter president, it's memorable today because a group of volunteers accepted that challenge and continued to sustain that high bar and push it even higher as I left the board. So congratulations, guys. Women. I'm very proud of all the work that the WTS Minnesota chapter does, but when I think about what makes WTS Minnesota special, it's the culture of appreciation that we cultivate in our members. When people contribute to WTS, we make sure that they are thanked and that we are grateful for the time and the unique skills that only they can give. I was thinking this morning about Mary Kay Murphy and the panel telling us about the T-shirt that the snowplow team gave her. And I don't think that she chose that for a national audience because the T-shirt was that special. I think what was special was that that team noticed what she was giving them and wanted to make sure that she was thanked for it. There are a lot of great benefits to joining WTS. Personally, I found opportunities for leadership development, I found role models, great professional networking, and even friendship. And yet, when I think about what I've gained from my WTS membership, what I treasure most is the validation I've received from my peers and from my colleagues for my effort here. Knowing that my contributions are noticed and valued makes me want to continue to give to this organization and has been an enduring source of confidence in my career. So for that, I want to say how deeply thankful I am for all of this support that I've received from WTS. And at our chapter awards ceremony, I shared the following wish with our chapter. My wish was that as we grow, we continue to show each and every one of our members our gratitude for the ways that they contribute to our organization. And for everyone here in this room, my challenge is that you answer that call. And I encourage you to reach out to your WTS colleagues and make sure that you thank them for their effort and tell them the ways that our organization is better off for it. In so doing, we will strengthen both our organization and the individual women who create it. And in this way, we can build in ourselves true confidence, a gift that for me has been both lasting and priceless. Thank you.
Very awesome. Congratulations, Faye, and for those words. That was just very inspiring. Okay. The WTS Woman of the Year Award recognizes a woman who, through her career advancements and support of women in the industry, has advanced the reputation and credibility of women in transportation. And this year's award goes to the Honorable Susan Collins, Senator of the state of Maine. Senator Collins was unable to be here tonight, but accepting on her behalf is WTS Maine Chapter President Peggy Duvall.
Wow. Well, this is really exciting. I'm very proud to be here representing the Maine chapter of WTS and to accept this amazing award in honor of our senior senator, Susan Collins of Maine. Unfortunately, she was unable to attend this evening's event. She did, however, send a letter for me to read to all of you, and I'll do that shortly. Senator Collins is recognized as being one of the most powerful women in Washington. She's known for her Maine work ethic, and since her election in 1996, she has never missed a roll call vote, casting over 6,300 consecutive votes. Susan Collins is also known for her ability to work with her fellow members of Congress, regardless of their political affiliations. As chairman of the Senate Subcommittee on Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development since 2015, Senator Collins has worked tirelessly to lobby for transportation goals and funding for this country. She has used her influence to promote the importance of investing in our nation's infrastructure for all modes. Her seat on this subcommittee has given her a powerful voice on how federal transportation funding is allocated. Her thoughtful and collaborative approach to infrastructure funding has been a hallmark to the Transportation and Housing and Urban Development and Related Agencies Appropriations Bill of 2017, which she authored. This provides funding for an array of federal programs, mostly in the Departments of Transportation and Housing and Urban Development. Most recently, Senator Collins is also the chair of the Senate Special Committee on Aging, focusing on solutions for our age-friendly communities and ways to build a stronger sense of community. This is especially important in Maine, where we have probably the most elderly aging population in the country. I think we're 50th. So it's very important, and we've heard a lot about that today. Among her other achievements are co-authoring legislation to overhaul America's intelligence community after 9/11, spearheading the repeal of the discriminatory Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy, and she led the bipartisan coalition to end the 2013 government shutdown. I've personally been able to listen to her speak about that event, and she basically pulled the women together and put forth the legislation to end the government shutdown. And if you ever have the opportunity to hear her speak, it's quite phenomenal. In her own words, as chairman of the State Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development Appropriations Subcommittee, I have worked hard to improve our transportation system in Maine and across the country. She's ensured that women have equal opportunities to advance in the workplace, and this has long been a priority of hers and is essential to building a strong transportation industry. And I will read the letter that she sent to all of us. Dear friends, it is an honor to be chosen as the WTS Woman of the Year and a pleasure to congratulate you on your outstanding organization for 40 years of accomplishments in advancing the careers of women in the global transportation industry. I greatly appreciate being recognized for the work to improve the safety and efficiency of our nation's interstate highways and my advocacy for critical infrastructure projects from roads and bridges to seaports and airports. In these endeavors, I have benefited from the knowledge and commitment of many women transportation leaders from my home state of Maine. Transportation is a powerful force that brings the world together and grows prosperity. on land, at sea, and in the air, motivated women are achieving recognition and success in this exciting and vital industry. With support of WTS, the glass ceiling truly is being transformed into a career portal. Thank you again for this recognition and for your commitment to both the global transportation industry and the talented women who help move it forward. Sincerely, Susan M. Collins, United States Senator.
Thank you, Senator Collins. Amazing. Thank you very much, Peggy, and please give our appreciation to Senator Collins. This concludes the Scholarship and Awards presentation, and before I step off this podium, I cannot but give a shout out to my 9 amazing ladies from the Valley Transportation Authority, my organization, that have joined us here at this WTS conference. I'm going to ask Brandy, Heidi, Marcella, Samantha, I don't see you. Oh, there you are, to stand up. Stand up as I call your name. Mahala, Jesse, I believe Marcella, and Michelle. Thank you for coming. And I also want to thank all of you because you are WTS. Thanks for all you do. Keep pumping that thermometer. Now back to you, Diane.
Well, congratulations to all of the scholarship and awards recipients. And now it's my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you to the 40th anniversary celebration. Anniversaries are a time to look back at what has been accomplished by important professionals that founded the organization and gave us the opportunity to honor our rich past while looking forward to our bright future. As many of you know, WTS International was started by a small committee of women in Washington, D.C. in 1977. And in 1978, they filed articles of incorporation to become a national organization, meaning chapters could be formed around the U.S. Tonight, we are planning an exciting program for you, including looking back and reminiscing with WTS legacy members from each of the 4 decades. You will hear about important moments in the history of WTS International and reflections on what has made WTS International so meaningful for all of us for the past 40 years.
We're not going to check the thermometer, but there's 700 people in this room, and I am positive that we now have a nice base, but if everyone just gave something, okay, we would be over the top. So I just ask for the participation now, and that'd be great. And think about your sisters. I'm thinking about Margaret and Mary Jane O'Mara, and the mother of sisters, Christine Cavill, and you can think about all the great sisters and give a little, and then all the men who've supported us and give a little more. So thank you, and do it. And we're at 27. Our goal originally was 25, but we raised it, and we're going to make it because we're going to get some smaller donations, and we're going to get more participation. So thank you on that. Thank you, Diane. We realize that it's really impossible to be able to capture all of the successes of WTS over 4 decades, and all the people who've made it special. But what we thought we'd do is just give you a sample of what the past was, and so that we can remind ourselves about where we've been and where we go. So it is with that that I tell you about how it started and a little bit about its name. WTS began with 4 women who were research assistants for the Southern Railway in Washington, D.C. They were seeking to open up doors for women throughout the country who at that time were struggling to attain positions of respect within a male-dominated transportation industry. They wanted to come together to discuss the issues in all modes of transportation. And they organized a series of luncheons called the Women's Transportation Seminars. And they named it that way so that they could take the time off from work to go to the lunches. Their bosses thought they were doing something educational, not just eating with the girls. So that was how it started. It was off to a slow start, but in 1977, Chris Venice reinvigorated it, and she's here now to tell you how.
Good evening. It's just great to be here. Well, early WTS members didn't think of ourselves as trailblazers. We did realize that the effort to organize was a little risky, but the weight of our vision propelled us. Our goal was to solidify and enhance our transportation careers, supported by one another, because indeed we felt all alone. We were transportation professionals who happened to be women, who had no role models, no historic ladders of opportunity to climb, no collective group of peers with whom to discuss our field or our positions. But we also knew that if we could coalesce around our career and career aspirations, set the bar so extraordinarily high, which I love to hear tonight already, set the bar high with regard to the caliber of our speakers, our program content, our relationship with transportation leaders, that we could put ourselves on the map. And look at us, we are on the map with all of you here tonight from across the country and the world. Business Week, a longtime highly regarded weekly business magazine, interviewed me the first year about why WTS was so different, not advising our members about the current fashion trends, because that was the prevalent topic in women's groups. It was dressing for success, or in other words, dressing like men. Yes, we wore blouses with ties, dark pinstripe suits to look like the men we were working for. And in hindsight, my response to Business Week might have been a little arrogant. But I said that WTS members didn't have time to talk about fashion. Rather, we were in a hurry to climb the ladder of success in transportation. And we had to. My office in DC was right next door to the Army-Navy Club. And when I was invited to attend an industry meeting there, I was relegated to only using the side door. The front door was available to men. And when I toured my railroad, now the Canadian Pacific, a separate private sleeping car would be hitched on for me only, so that I was not mixing with the men who were also out touring the railroad. I was the only female member of a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate in 1977, plus I was 26. There were very few women in high positions then, particularly in transportation. And transportation was highly regulated. In our early years, we had great participation from women members who worked at the then Interstate Commerce Commission, now the Surface Transportation Board, where the change in a rate of hauling cotton from Memphis to Pascagoula had to be filed at the ICC, and then you waited for them to approve the rate. The Civil Aeronautics Board regulated airline pricing. and Amtrak was just a fledgling endeavor with more congressional skeptics than unfortunately we still have today. Some of our early members, though, led the debates about trucking deregulation and safety improvements at the NTSB. Oh, by the way, port policy and multimodalism never mentioned. My boss, who was the former Secretary of Transportation and the former president of Amtrak, also noted the slim number of women in transportation and did challenge me in the summer of 1977 while Congress was on recess because I was a lobbyist to see if there weren't some other women out there working in transportation. And so we very quickly grew from that first meeting that you all hear about when the 40 women attended a luncheon in the beautiful presidential waiting room at Union Station. And I was a nervous wreck because I thought my company was going to have to pick up the ticket for all those boxed lunches because surely the 40 women would not all show up. But indeed they did. And membership rose quickly. We rose to 300 members, then 400, 500. WTS was an immediate success. Men and women joined. It was amazing. High caliber women leading agencies at the federal level or counsel from congressional committees all joined WTS because we fit the need, we fit the bill. We committed to give voice, credibility, and professional support to our members. We yearned for professional affiliation, professional relationships, and career development because our numbers were so slim. Our outlets for professional development were always geared to the men in the room. WTS, again, fit those needs. Martha Schwindeman Patterson, an early and active chair in many capacities, is here tonight from Raleigh, North Carolina. Martha, can you stand up, please? Martha recalls intentionally maximizing her WTS leadership positions to build her resume because her work at Federal Highway did not provide for that growth. Well, we never imagined we would serve as a model for other cities and women in transportation. We were just the independent and unique Women's Transportation Seminar of Washington, D.C. And I have to recognize Lori Kent, who's also here tonight, who was the first president of National and one of the women at Southern. Lori led us through the organization of the National Association as the first president, and it was hard. I remember it being so hard because it was new and a different challenge for us. Governance and chapter relationships, services, coordination, responsibility to people in other cities. We were still struggling with it when I then became the second national president. And, you know, at the same time, we debated the name, Women's Transportation Seminar, but we couldn't come up with a better replacement. And by that time, WTS was already its own brand. So we stuck with it, and you all have stuck with it too. At our 25th anniversary, Dr. Martin Wachs, then head of transportation at the RAND Corporation and professor of urban planning at UC Berkeley, told us that he encouraged all his female students to join WTS, where they would be welcomed, supported, and grow. Over 40 years, this has been achieved. I hope this gives you a sense of how far you all have come. Look at me and my colleagues here. We have rich, rewarding careers in transportation, growing as did WTS, and with WTS always at our back, helping, cheering, and enriching our own work. I'm so very proud to be here tonight. I thank all of you who have gone after me for these 40 incredible years of empowering women in transportation, and I challenge you all to another 40. Well, I'll conclude by saying I'm sure you agree that WTS's work, WTS's careers, and WTS is giving back. But underneath it all, if you will allow me, the men who are present in this room, it is a sisterhood that has achieved so much beyond our wildest dreams. And speaking of a sisterhood, I'd like to introduce my very special friend of 35 years, Deborah Wathen-Finn. Oh, Debbie was WTS's third national president, and from the great chapter of New York, Debbie, take over. Thank you, sweetie.
Wow. That's pretty moving, Chris. I've heard this story, but I think so many people in this room have never heard that story. Chris, thank you for that gift for all of us. I'll try not to get too teary-eyed, but in fact, 35 years ago, this year, Chris and I had a similar pass-off. She handed the gavel to me as the incoming president of WTS at New York's first of 4 conferences. And this chapter does it great, don't they? Yay. And I also was the first non-Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. was Mecca. And there were the provinces out there. And I always say I was the first provincial president. And as we changed, it was really interesting because my election was less about me and this view of what WTS could and should be. And we had, I think, 6 chapters, Chris? Was it about 6 when I came in? And I think we got up to 12 during my term. But imagine that. It was already a chapter-based confederation. And we actually, as Chris pointed out, we actually institutionalized, used the directors as liaisons to the chapters because we knew that the strength of this organization was in accessing that participation. And that's kind of a theme that we keep hearing 40 years later. I love it. So I'm here tonight because of what WTS has meant to me personally and professionally. And it feels like a homecoming every time I come back. There's so many friends that have helped me through my career, and I think I've helped a few on the way too, as we've helped each other in personal crisis, personal celebrations, and professional movement in our industry. I continue to marvel about how our organization has grown and how the world of transportation has changed as we realized our dream that women would be in leadership positions. And it's clearly the norm. Look at this. Just look around. We've come a long way since our first decade. So I'd like to share with you a little bit about what the industry in WTS was like in the 80s. Seems like an eternity. Or it was like yesterday. Our industry was in turmoil. In the Northeast, in the Chicago area, the urban areas was marked by public transportation systems that were in decay and massive, massive unmet needs. Out of that crisis, with the Conrail divestiture of passenger rail service and the bankruptcy of private bus carriers throughout the older urban centers, new public operating agencies were being created. And they took on the challenges of rebuilding public confidence in the delivery of these systems and those infrastructures. Oh my God, does this seem like we're back there? Think about it. Almost 40 years later, we're facing the similar challenges. I would hope that the WTS today will provide leadership and forums for sharing discussions about the lessons that many of us have learned. But I'll tell you that those crises opened incredible opportunities for the jobs that many of us went on to do as we filled those jobs in those new organizations, New Jersey Transit, Metro in Chicago, MBTA, Long Island Railroad, Metro North. I mean, it really took us all into great career paths. In the 80s, we saw women beginning to take on leadership roles, most in public sector roles, really. We didn't see many in private sector at the time. And as many of you, some of you who were actually there in 1980 for the first conference was in Washington, D.C. And I'll never forget that conference. Lillian Liberty called my boss and said, Lou Gambaccini, you need to get a delegation from New Jersey there. And everyone knows when Lillian calls, you do it. And I'm so glad to see you here, Lillian, one of our other past presidents. And I was just marveling. I think I was like 26. I'm at that conference. I'm going, oh my God, there are women in leadership. There was Ann Canby, Lillian Liberty, Jane Garvey. And they were in the Carter administration. It was like, oh my God, we could really lead something down the road. And they're still such wonderful role models, and they've led and supported the advancement of women over these past decades, with so many that all of you have done as well over these 40 years. In the 80s, we celebrated a number of firsts because it was first then. Elizabeth Dole was the first woman secretary of US DOT in 1982. That was because I was president, you know. Sally Ride was the first woman astronaut in 1983. And here in New York, our own New Yorker, Geraldine Ferraro, was nominated to be vice president of our nation, the first time. That was in parallel, because I think it's really important to remind people that are younger, that are coming up in our organization, that was in parallel with the social changes going on. With the 1964 Civil Rights Act, do you know it was amended in 1979 to ban employment discrimination against pregnant women? So who was it that got the award today that was pregnant? Well, I mean, we didn't even have maternity policies. In fact, that was in '79. It wasn't until the mid-'80s that most of the organizations started having maternity leaves. I know, it seems amazing. And we all tested it, believe me. And it wasn't until 1986 that the Supreme Court declared sexual harassment a form of illegal job discrimination. So, WTS has moved into a more formal organization in the 80s, as Chris told you, because all of a sudden there were a lot of people we were responsible for. And we talked already about the governance and all we did. I would be remiss today if I also didn't tell you that we also had our first executive director. And she was an amazing woman. And this is almost as emotional as you passing that. Helene Overly was the executive director as I took on the presidency. And she was an amazing woman who had vision, challenged us. And the last board meeting we had in New York before she died 34 years ago this year, she brought an oxygen tank. And that's how much she cared about our organization. She was there to literally the bitter end and made such a difference. So during that time, we started to realize that there were women who we could promote and advocate for. And that was really why we started then working behind the scenes to get women into positions of power, so they weren't just the first of the ones that we mentioned. But we were most successful in public. Private was a frontier. But one of the things, and we've heard this theme today, I think Mary Kay said it beautifully this morning. Most of us were in middle management. We were not at the top. And we used WTS, and I challenge people, the younger women today and men, to think about this. We tested our leadership abilities when we weren't in leadership in our organizations. And our bosses were like, oh my God, look at what they're doing. I mean, it really made a difference. And many of us got to the top of our industry because we showed people what we could do in a volunteer role. So it was great. It was before we had professional development organizations. So while we see more and more women leadership now in both public and private sector, there were then and still so few women on corporate boards. And we know from the research that if you have 2 or more women on a corporate board, those companies have wonderful bottom line results and other benefits. So our next frontier, as I sign off to the 90s, and as we think about going forward in the next 40 years, is thinking about how we get women on corporate boards. And there's a lot of corporations here, so I hope that you all go back and think about that, and we'll certainly help staff it, have no fear. So I congratulate WTS for these 40 years. And I don't think I'll be here at the end of the next 40 years, but anytime you invite Chris and me back, we're back, right? So I'm very thrilled once again to turn it back to Liz Levin, who will talk about what it was like in the 90s. And Chris, Liz, like Chris, has become a dear friend. Thank you very much.
The 1990s for WTS was a period of increased professionalism and opportunities. For those of you who were there, please join me in remembering. For those of you who weren't there, it is a history lesson. Remember when we had a book of WTS procedures that we cherished and we followed so closely, and woe to those who didn't? Remember when we used the Tech Center in Boston for management? We were clearly the most demanding client. Remember? Yeah, that's right. Remember when our board packages were very large and filled with not women, but with important board materials, and we had to prepare the binders like a week or a week and a half in advance, and changes to the agenda or the materials were scorned. Remember how communal we were, relentlessly communal, so that when we talked about dues, it was forever, and $5 or $10 was considered like wildly important. And remember when Clinton became president and welcomed women into government, and we began to see some change? WTS mounted a campaign to get women in federal positions. We got many: Jane Garvey, Jolene Molatoris, Grace Kruniken, and more. Nuria and I worked on the initiative, and Nuria went on to be deputy and then acting FTA director. At TRB, our reception was 700 to 900 women at its high point because of our federal women. And WTS formed its first advisory board that gave it increased visibility. Men were invited to be on the board, but not too many. The New York chapter also started the wonderfully successful WTS Professional Leadership Program. We also had Valerie Jarrett in 1998, who became the special advisor to Obama, and she chaired our 1998 conference. And finally, let us remember how wise, experienced, and old we felt, and now we really know how young we were. Keep it short.
I thought about that happening, and it sure happened. I'm Sunny House. I was president of WTS from 2004 to 2006, and I can say with 99.9% certainty that I am the only president of WTS who belly danced on stage. Who was there to see it? Okay, I'll get to that story in a minute. But I do want to, first of all, I want to, before your mind wanders, I do want to let you know it was a very demure and dignified performance, as much as a belly dance can be, but it was also really a symbol of our cultural diversity at the time, in early 2000s, and the acceptance as well as the celebration of our success. So I just wanted to share a few stories with you. The fact that we were all volunteers. This was like a second job to us, and there were hundreds of us working at the national level and, of course, at the chapter level to take this organization and transform it to what it is today. So the early 2000s were really a major accomplishment, and a lot happened in those days. And of course, we don't really have time to go into everything. But I do want to let you know that we had to hire APTA in 2000 to be our manager, our administrative manager. And I don't know if Kelly Ann Gallagher is here, but she was very instrumental in helping us manage our organization for 6 years before we actually moved on. And also, during the early 2000s is when we established a separate board for scholarship. And now that you know that as Transportation Foundation, which actually incorporated as a 501c3 in 2009. So lots of things happening. We were looking at the logo. You see the logo here today. The logo used to say Women's Transportation Seminar. but it was important for us to brand and get our name out there and take away the confusion about what is a seminar. So we did a branding campaign, we created collateral material, and we're really trying to take the organization to the next step. And that helped us actually grow the organization. Soon after that, we were able to add the Vancouver chapter, our first international chapter. And I fondly remember adding the London chapter during my term, and that's when we decided to actually change our name in 2005 and call ourselves an international organization. So that was really great. I also want to share really a fun, a memorable story about the fact that we had to eventually go to the next level and hire our own staff. And that was a big step for WTS. It was a lot of risk involved for us doing that and being able to stay financially solvent. So I never forget the day I walked into the WTS office in Washington, D.C. And by then I was a past president, but I saw the name WTS on the wall. And that was a defining moment for us to really see and remember that we've worked hard and we are on the scene now. We are in Washington, D.C., and we've arrived. So that was a really wonderful experience for me. But I want to get to the belly dance and why that happened. When I started, in my inauguration speech in 2004, we were about 3,400 members. And I threw a challenge to the organization because we were hovering around the mid-3,000s for a long time, about maybe 10 years. So I said, if the organization gets to be 4,000 members, I will belly dance on stage. And I thought it was a safe number because I didn't think we were going to get there. But so in 2005, seeing the numbers again, I go, okay, we're going to launch the Membership 4,000 campaign. In 5 months, we increased our membership by 20%, and we made it to the 4,000 goal. And in fact, our 4,000 member was a man. So his name was Jonathan Mackler, and it was from Portland chapter, and I actually had to go up there and meet him and congratulate him for being our 4,000 member. But what a statement to make that, first of all, we were inclusive, and second, we were recognized in the industry for men to join our organization. That was great. So now I had to deliver. So as I'm winding down my presidency, I'm working full-time, I'm raising 2 kids, I took belly dance lessons. And in 2006, in May 2006, with a glowing introduction from Ann Kobe, who was my successor, about the history of belly dance, and that is a symbol of celebration. We all celebrated all the accomplishments we had made, and I let off some steam. And why belly dance? Because I'm also the first Iranian American president of WTS. Hopefully there'll be more. So I do want to congratulate WTS for all the effort and being here, and there is so much more to come and so many more wonderful success stories. I'm going to turn it back to Diane.
Well, as you can see, we've come a long way. And, I had some remarks, but I think most of my remarks are talking about the future, and we're going to be talking about that at our business meeting tomorrow. And I don't want to stand between you and our reception. So what I'd like to do is, our organization has been built on our volunteer leadership. And so I really would like to celebrate all the volunteers that have helped build the organization. So first, if I could have the past presidents and past chairs, if you're with us, stand so we can recognize you. I'd appreciate that. And now I'd like to recognize our chapter presidents. We did list the presidents from international. The chapter presidents are very numerous, but you have been the backbone of this organization, expanding our chapters to 59 professional chapters and 16 student chapters, and 6,700 members. So if you'd please stand, please. Well, from all this impressive history, you can see that it's just not what we do, but it's how we do it. So thanks to all the dedication from all of you, and cheers to another 40 years, and let's have a wonderful celebration.